Good afternoon, traders and investors. It's Will here with another one. The reason why I'm smiling is because NVIDIA saves the market yet again. Big tech steps in and saves a potential big drawdown on the rest of the indexes if we would have lost the lows. Now, keep in mind, we were, as of yesterday's stream, I was telling you guys, we were expecting the daily higher lows to be set and potentially leading into weekly higher lows as well. So with a big red day today, it culminated in NVIDIA earnings, which were absolutely ridiculous, changed the entire shape of the market after hours. So we're going to look into that right away. So sorry for being late, by the way. I was tuning into both the NVIDIA call and the Ron DeSantis and Elon Musk Twitter spaces after hours. Very interesting stuff. So I love to keep up to date on that. Apologies for not being able to do this video sooner. Now, let's look at NVIDIA real quick. Absolute monster earnings, guys. EPS 1.09 versus 92 cents expected. Massive beat as a matter of fact. Revenue 7.19 versus 6.52 expected. Guys, those are absolutely monstrous gains. I mean, we're talking over 10% on each of the accounts there. And right, so we're up literally like 26% after hours right now. You can read a bit more into it, guys. The call was amazing, by the way. The CEO was extremely bullish. They raised guidance for the entire year. They beat Wall Street estimates on the actual guidance by about 50%. You can see CNBC reporting on it here. So very good earnings call. If you guys like NVIDIA or NVIDIA shareholders, I suggest you look into it because they did a lot of talking about their growing AI division and also their growing data center division, which were the key points, key takeaways of this earning call. They have growing segments, let alone their market segments that are already good. They have a lot of growth in their future segments, which could keep pushing this company higher in the long term. Love NVIDIA. Now, price to earnings is kind of high, but keep in mind, guys, their earnings are growing at a rapid pace. So their PEG ratio, even though it's closer to 2 right now, is still not. You know, if you're only looking at the PE, you're only getting half the story. You may think it's expensive only looking at the PE, but don't discount the amount of growth that they have coming in multiple segments. Now, looking at the rest of the market for today, guys. So I wanted to point out that once again, similar to yesterday, the only green sector on the day as the market continued a violent pullback from the morning all the way through the afternoon, the only green sector was energy once again, right? So everything other than a few large tech names was down in a considerable way, led by financials to the downside. Healthcare wasn't providing much support at all. And our consumer stocks, basically our consumer discretionary and consumer staples, right? They were absolutely destroyed today as well, continuing the red. So let's look into how this plays into SPY and with the after hours earnings, okay? So I'm going to go between the SPY and QQQ, but also on the futures to see how it's affected our patterns for the day. So if you look at SPY, I'm going to use the futures because now we have some after hours data, right? So if you look at the futures, it provides a more clearer picture than our SPY chart. So S&P 500 on the futures, we had pretty much for all intents and purposes, a double bottom, right? At our local support zone, which is very good to see. It was coming in hot towards the end of the day, guys. You can see if I pull up this, right? So this is our 3 o'clock candle. You can see our end of the day, we tried to push higher and we kind of closed near the lows. This is pretty much all NVIDIA and carrying up the other stocks. So it left us with some pretty bullish doji reversal candles near the bottom here, which is exactly what you wanted to see. The bulls needed to hit the brakes on the bears right at this level, and they did it. So as you can see, we closed the day with the futures above our 26 moving average. Our new day candle has just opened up here roughly about an hour and a half ago, right? And we are still trading above this moving average. So it remains to see if we can get some further momentum to the upside into the rest of the week, which would kind of set us up here for a good daily reversal pattern here. You could argue that we did lose the daily higher low compared to this level here, but considering that it's kind of a broader support range, I will give this one to the bulls and say that they actually did hold it. You can see on SPY itself, right? We're pretty much down to this area, almost to the penny, right? To where we would have stopped out previously. And that's very good. The bulls put on the brakes exactly where they needed to. And that was large. You could say it's largely driven by NVIDIA, but it is what it is. They held the level, right? So it remains to be seen, guys, if they can now, with the hourly push that they got, can they confirm the hourly trend change leading into potential 4-hour continuation, creating some space off of these bottoms here, right? Which is exactly what you want to see if you want SPY to have some hope to continue higher. Now, it needs to get some help. Technology is obviously going to be green today, right? Tomorrow. It needs some help from financials and it needs some help from healthcare. These guys have not been playing along. So healthcare, let's go through financials first. Financials, as you can see, guys, we've pretty much double bottom. We cut the low by a few pennies. However, for all intents and purposes, this is somewhat of a double bottom, right? 5 pennies. I'll give it to them if they can hold. If we break down below lower, that's not going to be very good. That's going to be setting us up for a loss of our daily lows here. And at that point, we're going to be looking for our weekly chart to potentially come back down into the lower levels around 31.3. So financials, the line in the sand level for me on the weekly still remains 31.30. If they can hold this level here of about 31.75, all the better. But the time frame for me on financials still remains the 4 hours. If you guys remember, after yesterday's stream, pretty much, if you were watching, I needed them to hold this low here. We lost it slightly today. So the time frame I will be looking at here, the key time frame is the hourly time frame. You can see that we're hourly oversold still on the RSI. Now, what you need to see, guys, even if they move a bit down tomorrow, right? We need to see an hourly trend change. Until we get an hourly trend change, I cannot be bullish on this daily chart or on the weekly chart. You need to change the lower time frames first. I say this all the time. So forget about the 4 hour, which is almost near 4 hour oversold territory. It could definitely come lower. Big momentum to the downside currently. We need some support from our financial sector if SPY wants to come back up and crack the highs here. Technology cannot keep lifting the entire weight of SPY here, guys. We're going to get tired. We're already tired on a lot of names, even though we were looking for daily higher lows on Microsoft, Apple, all the rest. But we need support from financials. So looking out for that tomorrow. Healthcare, same thing, right? I need to see support from healthcare bulls. So far, we've just been giving up. We're in a clear daily downtrend at this point, right? With, support coming down in here into the 127 level is our next area of support. But you don't want to see them come low. We've been looking for a weekly higher low compared to our low here of 123.60-ish, right? 123.5, let's call it. We've been looking for a higher low now, guys, for 6 weeks. That is a long time, right? So now I'm basically going off the Fibonacci levels. As I was saying in yesterday's stream, you absolutely need to hold the 618. If the 618 falls, guys, I really don't like how this, if the 618 falls, goes down here, we're going to turn into a tightening range, which could last for quite some time. And I don't want to see that. I need to see bulls step in here. We need to use this NVIDIA strength and these potential follow-up rallies on technology here to lift the broader market. We need to get some sentiment. We need to get some positive macro. There needs to be some sort of deal made on the debt ceiling and whatnot if you want to see the broader bulls come back. And for that for healthcare to come back, I need to hold the 618 level, which is sitting roughly here at about 128.25. That is the line in the sand level for me. If we do want to confirm a weekly bull flag and start moving up to the higher levels without having to do much consolidation down here, I really want to see us hold here and push back to the highs. If we cut too low, then for me, the most likely scenario just becomes a tightening range. And at that point, the SPY won't be getting much help from healthcare. So that's the level that I'm looking out for here. But with healthcare, just as XLF, we are in downtrends on the daily, on the 4 hour and the 1 hour. So we need to start with the 1 hour. Bulls need to start an hourly uptrend reversal, which needs to carry into a 4 hour push. And only then can we be saying, okay, maybe our daily low is set and we can then move off of that and start reversing a daily trend. So keep an eye, guys, keep an eye on the 1 hour time frame. Key time frame for me, XLF and XLV. Russell, okay, so Russell basically, whenever financials has a bad day, you can kind of assume that Russell is also going to have a bad day. So that's exactly what happened today, guys. So as you can see, right, we gapped down and ended the day about 1.06% to the negative. But if you look at the total percentage move, once again, almost 1.5% top to bottom on the day before an end of the day recovery. Now, we are bouncing off our moving averages, closed above the moving averages, which is good. Now, this as well, anything above for me, 172.15 is a daily higher low. So we've created some good space, But bulls really need to get some support here from financials if we want to keep the upswing going, if we want to set a daily higher low and potentially confirm a daily uptrend, right? On the weekly, that's exactly what we're looking for as well, right? So we have the weekly higher low here. Now we've double topped at the high. So what we need to see here is this week needs to close somewhat more bullish, and we need to get some continuation into the next few weeks if we want to crack this resistance level, which has really been aggravating our bulls here. Look how long it's been resistance, right, guys? It's been resistance since the end of March, running up on 2 full months now. Cannot break above this level, and also struggling to break down here. So you guys know the trade. If we come down towards this level, I'm looking to write puts in this area. But if we break above, I'm going to be looking for a break above here and a retest of the 180. And at that point, I'll be writing puts in this level here. So as for me now, I'm just looking for our bulls to make a move on the hourly trend. Now, we need to reverse this hourly downtrend if you want to look on the higher time frames, such as the 4 hour. Because at this point, guys, 4 hours down so much that you start to set up a scenario where you could do this, right? So what I need to see is I need to see the bulls on the hourly make a nice move up, confirm an hourly uptrend, and push higher for at least 1 to 2 days before I can say, okay, the bulls have put in enough room that the most likely scenario becomes this. It's all for me about likely scenarios, guys. That's why I like to do this analysis with you guys, just to see how I'm thinking, whether if, to look how the lower time frames are moving to let you know whether our likely scenario is going to be pushed towards the highs or if we move lower. So hopefully that helps you out a bit, right? Dow Jones, another bad day for the Dow Jones. As you can see, we have now lost our most recent levels of daily support. Not very good for our value names. If I take you out over my value list, once again, you will see that on the day, most of these names are negative, and the ones that are up are slightly to barely up. I mean, Facebook, not really a value name, doesn't count. Couple Canadian energy names in here, Waste Connections, and this one is pretty much a chain of pretty much it's the Canadian version of 7-Eleven here. AMD, no surprise here. But if you look at all the other ones, right? I mean, Costco down, Walmart down again, the dollar stores down again, Pepsi down again, Monster down again, right? So as you can see, guys, like it is not good. Obviously some banks in here too. So it's really not looking good for our value names. Well, not that it's not looking good, but as I was saying yesterday, we are now into weekly consolidation mode on a lot of these names, right? McDonald's, Pepsi, right? So we're looking for weekly higher lows compared to our recent lows, right? And they've been rallying now for so long that we need to set those higher lows. So it's not a bad thing, guys. It's not a bad thing that these names are doing this relatively quickly. And I'm obviously still bullish on a lot of these names. However, we do eventually need to set these weekly higher lows, right? Like they all need it. We all need it. And the most likely scenario for me is going to be that we're hunting for weekly 12 EMAs on most of these names, right? If you look at that yellow line, that's our weekly 12 EMA. That could act as support on a lot of them, but it's good that SPY isn't dropping off the charts while we're setting weekly higher lows on a lot of these value names, which means that if we can kind of hold here, if technology can just keep us here on the SPY, if then we start getting some support from names, value names that have been pulling back, well, it may allow a few other sectors, like if we can get our consumer staples and discretionary back, financials and healthcare, then SPY is going to have no problem smashing through this general resistance area, right? And then at that point, QQQ can take its turn to kind of set its weekly higher lows, which it's been trying to do, right? So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. QQQ itself, QQQ, I'll take you to look on the futures, right? But before that, I wanted to show you, what was I talking about yesterday is the most likely stop point, right, for the bulls here, the most likely point where you'll get some breaks applied here will be the convergence of the 12 EMA and this uptrending channel line, which was a weekly, which was pretty much a long forming weekly rising wedge. And we got it, right? As you can see, rejected off of the trend line and the 12 EMA for our first touch here. And this blue line here is our after hours close. So if we move up to the futures, you'll see it a bit better here. Now, let me just remove this for purpose of clarity. So you'll see it. Can it potentially be that our daily higher low is set? I assume so. This is, keep in mind, this is the candle that's only started today as of 6 p.m. Eastern. This was today's, meaning Wednesday's candle, right? So as you can see, rejected here. It's now, for me, that is our new daily higher low. So the bulls are in absolute full control at this point. This becomes our new line in the sand level right here. I'll show it to you on QQQ. QQQ will be the low right here around 330, let's call it. So anything above 330 at this point for me, since we're up here now, anything above 330 is just a daily higher low. We're in full control now. As you can see tomorrow, this weekly candle is kind of going to be pointing upwards and slightly bullish. So we'll see if we can end the week bullish on QQQ. And if we can get them some support from the rest of our sectors, you may see this SPY red candle turn into a potential doji candle like this with a nice tail on it, which could lead us into some upside continuation here, especially if we get some good news coming from the debt ceiling. Now, let's get into Bitcoin. Crypto, they just can't keep it up. Just cannot keep it up. Yesterday's video, I was telling you guys that we were waiting for a 4-hour higher low to be set, and I was looking for some potential continuation to the upside. What happened is we got an absolute flush below, retest of support now as resistance, and a continued further leg down, second leg down there. Really nasty move, guys. But on the whole, I said that, right, if we're going to lose this support level and close below it, this would be our first close below. Candle closes in 2 minutes. So suffice it to say that we are closing below. At this point, guys, it's not really looking good for crypto. I'm not going to lie. It would not surprise me now if we do go down and test the 25,000 level, which would be our daily 200 moving average. It just can't get it done. Unfortunately, can't get it done. We had a nice breakout here, but it reversed, and now we've broken down to the downside. So yet again, a false breakout with a lack of follow through and breaking down to the lower levels. So the time frame that is my guide, once again, will now be, unfortunately, we've erased any chance at a 4-hour trend change reversal. So now at this point, we have to once again wait. When is going to be our hourly higher low and to reverse the hourly time frame. So bulls now off this bounce have created some space. Are we going to be able to confirm an hourly trend change? After the hourly, you obviously go up to the 4-hour. How high does the 4-hour bounce? If it bounces decent enough compared to this move here, well, we can expect potentially a trend change to the upside. But if we just kind of bear flag down here like we've been doing, right, this 4-hour candle is going to close in 1 minute. Really not liking this candle structure would not surprise me, since we're not really oversold on the 4-hour, not close to being oversold on the daily, and now we're no longer oversold on the hourly. It could very well push lower, guys, and that just might be what we need for crypto. We might just need to flush down here to 25 to get people interested enough to start buying this up and start reversing our daily trends here. So unfortunately, this entire crypto list is red here. We're still looking at Bitcoin as our lead cryptocurrency. You know, and it's just the price action. I understand price action on crypto has been weak. So what do we need to see? We need to see negative catalysts removed from the market. So no more debt ceiling. And we need to see risk on trade and risk on stocks for people to potentially get more bullish on crypto. But 1-hour time frame is my guide. Now let's go over a bunch of names. Going to go over these names quickly, right? So Apple not really benefiting here from NVIDIA in the after hours. They did come up a bit off of that in the after hours here, as you can see. However, we're still kind of stuck on the lower end here. Apple trying to double bottom here, trying to hold the 170.5. This is the line in the sand level for me to hold the daily uptrend intact. So if tomorrow is a green day, perfect. We can rally back up. Our resistance is going to be set at the highs here. We absolutely need to hold this. If we kind of cut below this, then you set yourself up for the potential of a daily downtrend and a potential gap fill. So really looking at this line in the sand level is 170.5 for me. Not really interested in shorting Apple up here. It's not giving me a good enough signal. I would really need to see a hard break below, a retest above with not that much momentum from the bulls, you know, and then I would probably try to enter here with stops above here. So that's pretty much it for Apple. But the bulls at this point still in control of the weekly. If we do lose the daily uptrend, the weekly still will be looking for a daily higher low compared to this guy right here, compared to 162.5. So anything above that will just be a weekly higher low. Microsoft as well, just as yesterday's video was pointing out, we are still in search of a weekly higher low here. Line in the sand level for me on the weekly is way down here at 276. For me, this is one big weekly move. So our moving average is fairly bit away. You could say that if it does start to drop, or if it does take a few weeks here to potentially drop, our moving average may come up to 300, 305. So I'm going to be looking out for that as a potential move. But looking on the daily, line in the sand level on the daily for me is 307. Anything above 307 is a daily high or low. With today's price action, it's very possible that if we go green tomorrow, it's very possible that we may have just set today the daily high or low if we can hold 12 EMA. As long as bulls hold 12 EMA, you guys can see, as long as bulls hold 12 EMA, they remain in full control. So that's going to be the guide for me on the daily. Now we're just looking, if you can see in the after hours here, I'm surprised I didn't show it on the daily, but I'm pretty sure now with this move in after hours that consider 319, I'm pretty sure that now our daily high or low at 312.89 is going to be set since we are up here now in the futures. So our next area of resistance, obviously the highs, 322.76 for continuation of the upside. And if this does turn out to be our weekly high or low, that means that our weekly uptrend still continues without much of any retracement. So we still have not come back and set any weekly high or low. Bulls remain in full control. Amazon, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful job on Amazon of really keeping up the market. If I remember on the heat map, Amazon and Meta, the last 2 days have been pretty much the only stocks on technology that have been green. Now, looking at Amazon more closely, so what do we have on the daily here? I'm going to go into the 1 hour, see if, yeah, that also was affected by our NVIDIA earnings, right? So we do have a nice recapture of the hourly trend on the 1 hour here. So it remains to be seen if that carries into tomorrow. But as you can see, guys, I'm very bullish on Amazon. Let's start on the daily, right? So daily doing a great job of setting higher lows every single time. As you can see, the previous one was set on Monday. I would tend to argue that the line in the sand now for me is going to be 113.75 roughly for our higher low on Amazon. I'm really getting tired of this thing. Let me try to remove it. Nope. Okay, so I'm really getting, so 113.79 here, excuse me guys, is going to be my line in the sand level for Amazon here. Anything above that is a daily high or low, holding the 12 EMA really, really nicely. On the weekly, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a push into the 121 area for further resistance. On the weekly, as you can see, we are getting further extended from our moving averages here. So when this move tops out, when we get exhausted on the daily, look for some retracement. That will potentially be a weekly high or low being set, but one thing at a time. We have not lost the daily uptrend. So as of now, still in the daily uptrend, immediate resistance at 118.61. Congratulations to the bulls. If we lose 113.56, we lose the daily uptrend, which at that point, I will maybe be looking for a weekly consolidation. Anything above 102, pretty much so much space. Anything above 102 is just going to be a weekly high or low. So bulls in full control. Meta, same thing, right? Meta after hours got a nice big push from NVIDIA as well. So as you can see on the morning, it was trying to drop a little bit, recaptured the hourly uptrend. Now we're looking for potentially the uptrend continuation to the upside. So bulls in full control of the short and medium term time frames. So what I was saying yesterday on Meta is I was worried about these candles, okay? I thought we might come down a bit more, test these moving averages because we were looking for our daily high or low. Now, with today's move, it's very possible that our new daily high or low level is now set at 245.10. So I'm going to go with that tentatively because I do think tomorrow is going to be a big green follow through day on a lot of names. So daily high or low is set at 245. If bulls lose this, we're going to look for weekly consolidation, but until the daily uptrend stays intact, we're just going to look higher, guys. Resistance level remains put at our previous resistance, 253.38, and then it becomes tough, guys, because we are in gap fill territory. This is an entire gap that we need to fill, right? So as we continue to push higher into this, there's not much holding us back. I'm not saying it's going to do it in one shot, but we could grind up into it without much resistance from the bears, especially if our broad market technology is bullish. We've stayed far away from this 12 EMA through this entire move, so it could continue in this fashion, guys. I mean, we are a bit overbought, but until we start losing some daily uptrends, it's going to kind of remain that way. So now we have some big horizontal resistance, right? Which is now turned into support that's going to play into our favor. So that's why I say the daily high or low is most likely set. We're probably going to get some follow through into tomorrow as well, probably near the highs on Meta. So congratulations to the bulls. NVIDIA, I'm pretty sure this needs no explanation, right? So what I was saying is similar to QQQ yesterday was we were looking for a daily high or low compared to 281, bouncing off our 12 EMA and our upward channel, which was a rising wedge. Now, did we get it? Well, I don't know, guys. You tell me, right? this pretty much looks like the nastiest breakout I've ever seen. We're now at all-time highs on NVIDIA, right? So keep in mind, it's not the chart. It's too old now. The chart's not showing it. But keep in mind, we're at about 380 right now. The high of 394 in earnings, which is absolutely ridiculous. So it puts us pretty much like, this is going to be the high up here, right? So high up here at 394, 395-ish, and we're currently trading at 380. So at this point, our most likely scenario becomes, if we are that overbought, we potentially just need to do a retest of our all-time highs. If you guys are looking for some pullback, the pullback area will be around 346, but that's a long way from 180 still. Like, even if we open at 380 tomorrow, I mean, the downside move for that that type of retest would be around 9%, guys. So it's very possible we don't even pull back that much, right? But that's what I'm going to be looking for. Obviously, we're now in price discovery mode, well above the all-time highs here. Bulls are in absolute full control. This weekly chart tomorrow will probably be extremely overbought. Daily is going to be severely overbought. Everything's going to be overbought tomorrow, guys. And the monthly probably as well is going to tend to overbought territory. But look at NVIDIA. We can stay overbought on, excuse me, let me move aside, other way. We can stay overbought on the monthly for NVIDIA for a while, guys. So the moral of the story on NVIDIA, as I've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks now, is as you should not try and catch short falling knives, do not try to pick tops and just try to short tops, guys. If you want this, I've been saying this now for a while. Why have I not been short NVIDIA? Because we've never lost the daily uptrend. Like, you can't tell me. We tried to lose it once and the next day it got bought back right up. So this was a bear break with no follow through. We have not lost the daily uptrend now in months. We just haven't lost it, right? Range, breakout, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. So how do you want to short a stock that's not even giving you a daily downtrend? What I was saying, in order to short this, you would have needed something like this. Fail, look below. That's when you lose the daily downtrend, right? Because now you have lower highs and lower lows. Then you look for the retest, and when it starts to curl, you look to enter here, and you set the stops above here for further downside continuation, which would then lead into a weekly consolidation move. But the bears have never been able to do it. The bulls have not given it to us. So in my opinion, don't do it. I know it's tempting. I know you might be thinking, this is absolutely ridiculous. This is ridiculous, but Wall Street loves this stock. The institutions love this stock. They have immense purchasing power. They have insane margins. They're beating revenues. They're increasing guidance. The buzzword is AI. You literally have everything working against you. So the least you can do is wait for a technical proper setup to enter a short, and they haven't given it to us, guys. They have not given it to us. So just the way the cookie crumbles. AMD, same thing. AMD after hours has got a massive move here after hours, about a 9, almost a 12% at the top here. 9.5% now, pretty much in the after hours currently. So shorter time frames are overbought. At this point, guys, we just need to literally let the bulls cool off the lower time frames before providing us signals for re-entry. So it's going to be creating some nice little gaps here between 110 and 120. At that point, if I'm looking for an entrance here on AMD, what I want to see is if we open here around 120, I'm going to look, okay, are we going to keep pushing higher, or do we potentially top out and put in some slight consolidation, at which point I start to want to write puts towards our previous highs on AMD, because I'm very bullish on semiconductors as a whole. AMD is one of my favorite companies in the market. I feel that they were kind of not getting the same love that NVIDIA was up until roughly 3 weeks ago when they had their earnings, right? So this was my target area for AMD. I'm happy that I bought some stock. In my opinion, I don't have enough of it as much as I'd like. So what I want to see is, obviously, we're going to end the week somewhere around potentially up in this range here, right? So eventually we are going to see a weekly pullback to set a weekly higher low. And that's when I'm going to be looking for future entries on AMD. But congratulations to the bulls. Now at this point, all you have to do is wait for the pullbacks, right? Wait for all the time frames now to get overbought. We're possibly going to be overbought on the daily now too, All you can wait for is for bears to reverse the lower time frames and look for entries at that point. But at this point, it's going to be very tough for me to buy the stock or short the stock as well. So I'm going to be patient and looking for entries down here. Tesla, disappointing day on Tesla in terms of price action, but did exactly what we wanted it to do. We were looking for Tesla to set a daily higher low, like I was saying yesterday, around 180. What did it do? It tested, looked below, and failed to close below 180. We now closed above around 183-ish, right? So we were looking for that. It was perfect. We set the daily higher low at this point compared to our previous low around 165. How did we do it? We used previous resistance, right? And we came close to the moving averages, but like I was saying, this whole zone here is a very important, look how important this zone for Tesla is, right? It's just a zone where whenever price tries to get into it on either side, it just gets rejected, right? So that's the area that I'm looking out for. I took advantage of it today to write some puts down here in this level. I actually wrote the 172.5s for Friday, got some very, very decent premium off that, about 0.5%. And now pretty much come tomorrow, they will be pretty much worthless because we did push a bit higher in the after hours, thanks to NVIDIA once again. So I will be looking, can Tesla hold on to this 4-hour potential trend change, right? That's what we need to see for them to keep the momentum to the upside. So I'm going to be looking at our hourly time frame here to see if we can keep the hourly trend going bullish, which will then also lead us our 4-hour chart into previous resistance levels, which obviously in turn, if we keep getting daily bull candles up here, the daily trend remains intact. Bulls are in full control of the daily time frame at this point. So daily higher low is set now. 178.33 remains my line in the sand level to let me know if bulls are in full control of this daily time frame or not. I will be writing puts as a result below this area at this point. Now, that is pretty much all the stocks I wanted to cover. Like I said, guys, look out for the McDonald's of your, the McDonald's, the Pepsis, the Coca-Colas, the Nikes. We are all looking, I'll show you, I'll go through these again because I went through them pretty fast, right? So we're looking for weekly bottoms, okay? Now, Nike is a bit different because you could argue at this point that we kind of lost the monthly uptrend, right? So we're looking at this point, if you would kind of smooth this out to a 2-month chart, you could say it's going to be a 2, or some people do 3-month lower highs, right? So we are just looking, guys, to set higher lows compared to our 83. Is it going to go back down to 83? Highly doubt it. This has just been a result of Foot Locker and a few other consumer discretionary stocks that are worried that the consumer may not turn out in the rest of the year. So as a result, other companies were kind of lowering expected guidance for the year. In my opinion, it's going to be a sandbag. I think that consumers do have the disposable income to continue spending through this recession as well. China market seems to still be strong and resilient, especially for products like Nike. So what we're looking for on these charts, we're looking for daily oversold. Keep an eye out for daily. As soon as you get your 4-hour and daily oversold, you start to know, okay, these names aren't tech stocks, right? They're value stocks. They should not be moving this much. So aggressive moves down like this, in my opinion, are for buying. I am writing puts aggressively on Nike now between the gap fill here, 103 to about 105 area has been my target area for the week. So I am loading up the boat on this in terms of writing options. If I get a sign, perfect. I love Nike. I love the company. I will be very happy to ride it back up to our 120 and potentially back up to 130 levels if I do get assigned. And I'll be writing out of the money covered calls the entire way, so generating some good premium. Look out for Nike. Look out for Pepsi. Pepsi is looking for its weekly higher low. Look, this stock has just passed all-time highs. Look at this chart. Should you be nervous? Pepsi is an absolute earnings monster. Very, very, very good company. One of the best balance sheets in the entire consumer discretionary segment, right? Arguably now a consumer staple because, regardless of what it is, Pepsi always has products that you buy. You will buy their chips. You will buy their drinks, right? They have sponsorships. They have Gatorade, right? Through sports and everything. So very, very, very good, well-rounded company. And in my opinion, we're just looking for a weekly higher low. So when this selling pressure is done, watch. We're getting very close to oversold levels here. And you see that any time in the past that Pepsi has approached oversold, it starts to get bought up, right? Over the last couple of years, and I can even go back further, guys, you'll see every time it starts coming down to these levels in an aggressive faction, right, the bulls show up and start buying the dip. So 4-hour oversold now is looking very interesting for me. McDonald's is the exact same thing, right? 4-hour oversold. Daily chart is coming down too. Look at McDonald's as well. When we start getting into lower levels, bulls show up and do the buying. So keep an eye out for McDonald's as well. We're looking for the weekly higher low. Big support down in this. My lines are so not straight, it's not funny. Looking for support down here, but 12 EMA could be our first stop, right? So look, just keep an eye out, guys, for these major value names, right? Especially the LVMUY too. We had a big sell-off yesterday and as well today. Big sell-off in luxury products, as they said that they are worried about the consumer. I don't think they really are, guys. We're just looking for monthly higher lows. Big support levels down here. So it's good that the value names have been rushing down to set these weekly higher lows potentially, right? They have been weekly higher low. We're rushing down, not just slightly moving down like here. We're rushing down on a lot of these names here to set the lows fast while SPY kind of stays muted. In my opinion, that could be good because when QQQ is done with this NVIDIA, right, and the rest of our names pushing up, if QQQ is done, then if these names can already have set their weekly higher lows and start rallying and holding some of the weight, and maybe even we get some support from our financials, right? Look at JP Morgan as well. JP Morgan also looking to rushing down kind of and looking to kind of consolidate here and looking to further consolidate that monthly move potentially if we can get some follow through, right? So we need the rest of our sectors. We need our consumer staples and discretionary to play along. We need healthcare to play along. We need financials to play along, guys. So if QQQ cannot be doing, that's been the kind of the clickbait titles in a lot of my thumbnails, QQQ can't keep doing all the heavy lifting. It just can't. Eventually, bulls are going to get tired of keep doing this. We're going to run out of bullish earnings. NVIDIA was pretty much the last one, right? QQQ has been helped so far. You guys remember the past 3 weeks, whenever SPY would kind of come down to these levels, what would save us? Microsoft, Apple, or Meta, right? Well, now we're done with that. So we really need some broader market support, or we're going to have to maybe look lower on SPY if we can't get it done and macro doesn't start getting some bullish headlines like a potential Fed pivot or at least a pause in rates, and the debt ceiling news goes away and we get really good inflation numbers contrary to people's expectations. We need all of that to come together so that we can get some broad market rallies, guys. So, as usual, hope you enjoyed the video. If there's some stocks that I didn't cover today, I apologize. Yesterday I covered a lot more, but moral of the story, we're looking for daily and weekly higher lows on a lot of our value names and a lot of our tech names. So keep an eye out for those. The rest of the sentiment remains bullish since we're looking for higher lows. We are in a bull trend. So just keep that in mind. Don't get too nervous. Don't overextend yourself, right, on the positioning. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider liking, consider subscribing, and I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow.